Anbu sir, you can take over. So both streams are started.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to a learning session on design thinking. I'm Anbu Ratnavel, Head of School of Design Thinking, and will be the host for today. What we have planned is a very concise session on how each one of you can leverage design thinking while still being at the campus. So today we have with us Mr. Arun Jain, who has been credited with bringing design thinking to this part of the globe several years ago, on bringing design thinking to the advantage of several corporates to begin with, and how innovation can be driven through design thinking. And in that process, we have come up with several elements that will help students like you to leverage that in your day-to-day life. From how do I look at a subject? How do I actually be able to break down the subjects into pieces that I would really be able to appreciate, connect them, and therefore my learning will be very good. And also for many of you who are aspiring to be an entrepreneur, there's nothing like hearing it from Harun himself, being a first-generation entrepreneur where he had started a company 30 years ago and till date has started 4 different organizations to his credit. With that short introduction, I'm going to request Mr. Arun Jain, the chairman, managing director, Intellect Design Arena, founder, School of Design Thinking, to take over. Over to you, Arun.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for all of you on Learning Saturday to listen to the design the thinking. I was in school almost 45 years back. In your college days, must be around between 45 to 50 years back. 78 to 83, I did my engineering. And that time I felt that I didn't get a chance to understand how do I expand my thinking process. And that's where I felt that when I'm in industry, I'm working in the industry, I'm trying to get the details on how I can be more effective and helpful for the student like you. So coming back to the design the thinking, expand your potential, I'll share my dialogue with you in 3 major blocks. One block would be in the area of first story, 3 stories I'll tell. So first story, let me start first story with you. I don't know how many of you have seen Malgudi Days. In Malgudi Days, there used to be a boy called Swami, and he used to live in a one small Tamil Nadu village. It's a very popular serial, also on Doordarshan, also it used to come. And in that Doordarshan serial, this used to be the one of the person called Swami who used to be there. Now Swami, when he was living in a village, one morning he wake up and he start seeing there's some very different house in his village. And this house he saw was very different color. It was a purple house, and all the house in the village is mud houses with a brown color or a red color. This was a very unique house called Purple House. He got curious like any child. He started moving into the house to explore what is in the house. He was not scared of the house, who is there inside the house. He opened the door, and he find the first door he opened, there was a room which was mentioned, imagination room. Okay, so he said, that's fine, it's an imagination room. Let me open the door. He opens the door, and on the wall of that room was empty, but on the wall of the room, there were three things were written on the room wall. Dreams. Imagine your dreams. Second word was role model. And third word was challenge. So what is a dream? What is a role model? And what is the challenge? So these are the three questions was posed on that room of imagination room. He start thinking about it. What is the meaning of it? The first meaning is, what are the Swami dreams? What he would like to become in 2040 or 2045, 20 years from now, what are the dreams he has? So now it's 2024, take 20 years. What are the dreams in 2044? He interprets role model, that who are my role model? Who inspires me? All of us have a role model. It could be my parents, it could be my... So in my life as Arun Jain, I had a role model when I was in college, which was J.R.D. Tata. I saw Tata building up the industry from 1905 during the pre-independence movement. He was start building the companies at a scale. So that became my role model. So I was start understanding what the role model he has. And then later on, I visited US and I saw some movies of Walt Disney and I visited Disneyland. Walt Disney became my role model. He inspired me that how innovations can be done even in a simple entertainment industry. And you can create such an exciting place where for 3 days one can spend the time comfortably. The third word is challenge. I need to do something beyond my own expectation is called challenge. And that comes from the imagination. If you are a sports player, what challenge you are taking? If you are a music, you are a arts, you are a science, you are a computer science, what is the challenge which you are taking beyond your own imagination? And that's where the challenge comes into picture. So after understanding dreams, role model, and challenge, he moved to the next room. Next room, he saw a green board written on it, learning room. He enters the room. Again, there were three questions on the wall. The first question on the wall was based questions, books, and listening. The three words were written on the learning wall. He said, okay, learning, a lot of teacher tells me that you need to learn. How does it so simplified about questions, books, and listening? And he tried to interpret from imagination room to learning room, because in imagination room, when he has taken a challenge and he built up a dream, there are a lot of questions were in his mind around all the three things. About dream, role model, and challenge. He had a lot of questions got generated in his mind. And learning room says, okay, write down your question in your diary. Now, either you listen to the various learning channels on the lot of internet is available, lot of videos are available, lot of TED Talks are available. You go to TED Talk and listen to TED Talk, or you pick up books related to that. So there are two ways you can resolve those questions in the learning room. From learning room, you move to the next room. It was doing room. So after learning, you start looking at it. What is the doing room all about? Basically, whatever he has done in imagination and then start learning, then he has to experiment in doing. He opens the door. This room was posted as a red color. A lot of work has to be done. For doing room, again, there are three elements were written, three words were written. One was planning, second was time management, and third was balancing priorities. Now, when in a first room, he identified three things: dream, role model, challenge. Second, he had a questions, books, and listening. Now, based on this, he has to plan. The first step is how do you plan, how he manages time, and how he choose the right priorities. What is the priority for study? What is the priority for sports? What is the priority based on his dreams? So these are three words he found in a third room. House was still big, and he found there's a fourth room on the next side. And fourth room was called effective room, yellow color room, effective room. On this room, when you open the door, he found to become effective on doing, he finds the answer for that. He said, for effective work, my planning or balancing priorities, I need ideas. But he had doubts, he has fears, he has limiting beliefs. That whether should I go ahead, not go ahead? How much time should I give it for sports? How much time should I give it to particular subject? If I have 5 subjects, physics, chemistry, biology, English, and math, which subject I give the priority? I have fears, I don't know particular subject. I have a limiting belief that I don't know particular subject. Or I'm good at this, I'm not so good at this. I'm good in chemistry, but I'm not good in math. I have a limiting belief based on certain prior biases or some teacher has told about what you can do, what you can't do. Then he further explored the house. The fifth room was influencing room, a purple room in purple house. And in this room, when he started opening the door, he found the 4 elements written there: communication, magic of appreciation, confidence, and respond versus react. What does the communication means? As a student, I need to express myself in writing to the exam. I have to write it down in a word. 3-hour paper is there. In 3-hour paper, I have to write down. I need to communicate what my thoughts are. Or I have a presentation, or I communicate through my talent, which is a extracurricular talent. I can appreciate what is good in other people. I'll cover it up later. And I need to have confidence that I can do it. And when somebody criticizes me, instead of reacting to him, I respond to him that his criticism can be the way for me to learn. So Swami gone through the 5 rooms. First is imagination room, second is learning room, third is doing room, fourth is effective room, and fifth is influencing room. And there is a 6th room which is hidden behind all the 5 rooms, which I'm not sharing and he couldn't find in the house. That is a giving room. Giving room means when you teach somebody else, you learn more. So learning can become more effective when you give it out. Now, he searched the house and he said, this is a giving room. So giving room is teaching and sharing. And then from all the 6 rooms, then he go further. Now, my questions to you is, Swami has visited this purple house, but where is this purple house? Is it only in the village of Malgudi or somewhere else also? So where is the purple house? Anybody has an answer to this? Anybody can raise hands or type it out.
Okay, you can type your answer to Arun's question either in the chat box or in the YouTube link, or those of you in the Zoom, you can raise your hands, please.
Sir, we have Shoma who has raised the hand. actually. We are
Yeah.
just allowing them to speak.
Please.
Yeah, Shoma, you can unmute yours and you can speak. Shoma, you have a permission to unmute. You can ask the question, answer the question. So, meantime, we are also allowing Bharat Kumar.
Bharat Kumar.
Bharat,
Yes,
you can
Bharat, if you
unmute
have
your.
questions, yeah, please unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Sir, as you discussed in the earlier planning, time management, and machine operations in the first slide, sir. And now the purple house is situated in the village.
Where is the purple house? It's in the village, but do you have purple house near you?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody else has to respond to this? Any other student?
Yeah, Rahul, you can unmute yourself, please.
And you can type in the window.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Rahul, please go ahead.
Okay. So the question is, where is the purple house? So my vision for life is a purple house for me.
What is it?
My vision for my life
Vision for life is a purple house. Yeah, you're closer to it. But where is the purple house? Okay, we can go for the next answer.
Lisa, you can unmute yourself.
Sir, in YouTube chat also, we got the answer section.
Yeah.
Hi, I have just unmuted myself. I think purple house is the way I would want to live and how I would like to go about it. The route that I need to take to achieve my dreams. So sometimes my mentor can be the rooms of the purple house. Sometimes my dreams that align with my vision can be the purple house. So it is not a fixed entity. It's quite a fluid entity which can appear everywhere in different opportunities for me.
Thank you, Lisa. Any answers in YouTube? Can you read out?
One second, sir. Sir, people are saying that it is in our mind actually.
Yeah.
The room purple is our brains. The purple house is our heart and mind.
Okay.
So these are the people are mostly the answers are on our brains.
Or mind. So if I look at it, where's the purple house? Purple house is equal to mind space. So Lisa, what you responded, it's your mind. It changes because mind is a fluid space. So purple house is nothing but my mind space. It's sitting in my mind, and I'm constantly working on this mind space. And every human being has a mind space, and this mind space for all of us, we can define this mind space. This could be 1,000 square feet of mind space. Like your house is there, it has got a 2-bedroom, 1 living room, 1 drawing room, 1 kitchen. Similarly, in a mind space, there's the imagination room, there's a learning room, there's a doing room, there's a effective room, and the inferencing room, and giving room. So all the 6 things are in your mind space. There are 6 rooms, while house may have 4 rooms or 5 rooms. Your mind space. So you have to visualize your mind space as a starting point for design thinking, because that is the house you want to design, and that is thinking you want to design, that how much square feet of the area you want to allocate for imagination and how much. So if you have 1,000 square feet, you can have a 200 square feet of imagination, 300 square feet of learning, 200 square feet of doing, 100 square feet of influencing, 100 square feet of giving. Or otherwise, other way around, you can have 50 square feet of imagination, 200 square feet of learning, and various point of time, you may change your spaces. It's not a fixed wall, it's a fluid spaces. When you are starting your career, when you're joining a new course, you may have an imagination space to be bigger than the learning space or doing space. And when you are doing something, when you are closing to the exam, that time your doing space is larger than imagination space. So this purple house is your mind space. Now, in second part of the story, I'll share with you how you organize your mind space and how you expand your mind space. So the two things are there. You can make your mind space 1,000 square feet more efficient by recording everything in the house, very neat, clean, everything at right place, well organized, good almiras, you can put it. So that house will be more efficient house. Sometimes you live in a hostel and you find your rooms are very disorganized versus when you live in a house where a mother managed the house, she organized everything. Similarly, mind space is how cleanly, neatly you're organizing so that retrieval of the knowledge can become much faster. So if it is well organized, you can get out your shirt in the morning when you're going to college. Similarly, if it's iron shirt, it will be organized in an iron fashion. Otherwise, it may not be iron. So those are the elements which you can expand your more efficient by organizing the mind space, or you can expand the mind space. So you have 1,000 square feet house. By understanding your mind space, you can make it 1,200 square feet, you can make it 1,400 square feet. And as you move in your career and you move and join the organizations, you keep expanding the space. So organizing the space and expanding the space. And how do you do it? What helps you is a part of the second element, that how I design my space, which is purple house space, how I design my purple house. So when I design the purple house, I need to understand my desirability. What is my dream is, what is my inspiration is. So role model give me inspiration, while my dream give me my desirability. I am learning and I have access to technology of books, technology of experimentation, technology. So that makes me feasible. And when I apply those technology into actual action, let's say if I'm playing a guitar and I learn the technology of guitar, and then when I apply to the guitar technology and start playing in the evening club somewhere or a group, I create a band for myself, that is my viability. Now, for all these three things, which is desirability, feasibility, and viability, is equally applicable when you are taking a college project. A college project, when you take college project, then you say, oh, I want to build a robot, or I want to solve social problem around my neighborhood. I have taken a village, I want to go there and understand what is the desirability there. Then I'll come back to college and 3-4 of us sit down to make it feasible that if I have to create robot, then I need to understand hardware, I need to understand motor, I need to understand software, I need to understand balancing. Or if I'm social project, I need to do if I'm doing a sanitation problem solving, then I need to understand what is the sanitation technology, what chemicals are required, how do I use the sanitation work. And then I go back to the viability, that to get it done, the project to complete, how do I procure the parts, from where do I procure the part. And when you start the desirability, a lot of things is unclear to you. And that unclarity is a mystery. When you start the project, it's a mystery. You start identifying some patterns, your previous projects, you go to internet, search it out there, you start saying, oh, this is also possible this way, this is also possible this way. Then you create a heuristics out of it. When you put the projects in a proper dot, it creates an algorithm. And to do that, what is required? We need to understand requirement of the project. Whatever the project you are choosing, you need to understand the requirements. Requirement could be stated and could be unstated. Unstated means when you can ask somebody how the robot, what kind of robot he wants. Sometimes person doesn't know, you may come out with your own ideas to solve the problem of the customer. Then you observe the patterns and you observe the anti-patterns. Then third thing is you connect the dots within the box and outside the box. And you do the, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. There you go out of the college, talk to the people, look at it, some other sites, and that's what I don't know what I don't know. I can expand my canvas of spaces which I don't know, or I go to some other college competitions where I come to know, okay, this is the projects which are run in other college, or this is the projects runs in Stanford, these projects are run in Harvard. I go to the website, search the projects, which is what happens in the US, what happens in the UK, what happens in Germany. That helps me in unearthing the blind spots. Now, for doing all these things, there are 3 laws of design thinking, which I call it less is more. So whatever you're doing, you need to reduce the workload so that you are effective in your project. Focus on last 2%. Last 2% is 200%. When you pick up a particular product, when you go and buy the shirt from the mall, there are some shirts available at 1,000 rupees. Some shirts are available at 3,000 rupees. Some shirts are available at 5,000 rupees. What is the difference in the 3 shirts? All 3 shirts are cotton shirts. But I think the finishing of this e-shirt, when I go there, is different. And one can feel with the texture, one can feel with the stitching, and that is last 2%. So focus on last 2% when you are doing any project. 98% project will be finished in first 2 months, but last 2% projects will take 6 months to complete. Then when you have to do the balancing the priorities, which is mentioned in a purple house, you need to prioritize based on 10 gram, 100 gram, 1000 gram. Each item which is there, you have a list of 20 things to be done in doing room, and you have to plan the activity. Focus and identify, write a weight on each planning sheet, what is required there. And that is, if you identify these are 1000 gram item, then in a planning project plan, you must ensure that 1000 gram items are finished first, and then you finish 100 gram item, and then you finish 10 gram item. So these are the 3 laws of design thinking: less is more, last 2% is 200%, and theory of prioritization. So this is the, from purple house, I move to the principles of design or concepts of design thinking, which is around desirability, feasibility, viability, moving from mystery, heuristics, and algorithm, understanding requirements, observing patterns, and connecting the dots, and unearthing the blind spot. When I apply 3 laws of design thinking, less is more, last 2% is 200%, and theory of prioritization, before I start designing the thing. So these are the principles which I keep when I start designing anything. So when I'm designing the purple house, I need to understand what are the principles and laws of design. Then I come to the design the thinking. So design the thinking, when I'm designing my purple house, I need to develop certain skills. Skills could be car mechanic or diamond polishing. Skill could be programming. Skill could be playing the sports, whether playing the sports. Skill could be playing the musical instrument, singing, dancing. Anything would be skill. What is in the skill typically? In a skill, you have a knowledge. Each circle which is there in a blue circle, each dot is a knowledge which is required for completing the skill. So like say if I am playing guitar, then I need to understand how the guitar works, how the strings of the guitar works, how the length of the guitar works, how the each place where you put a pressure, how much pressure to put it, those works. And then you need to have a lyrics. So each one of these is each dot, when this get connected, that is a skill when you connect all the dots in this circle. And when you complete all the circle, that skill is complete. The skill of solving mathematical problem, the skill of writing a software program, you need multiple knowledge packets which comes together to create a one particular skill. And this is when all the skills come into one circle is called knowledge container. Then when you apply the skill 100 times, you become master of that. So when you start learning guitar, or when I personally start learning any musical instrument, which I'm bad at, it becomes so difficult to control all the fingers, both the hands, fingers. But for normal guitar player, he just plays with the eyes closed. And so that is a mastery at subconscious level, because all the skills, all the knowledge which you are acquired. So like say when you drive bicycle, you don't need to do a conscious about it or what things. But when you are learning, that time you're acquiring skill. And once you become expert, it becomes mastery. And what happens in a mastery? You become expert. And expert means you are going deeper and deeper and deeper understanding the subject. So when we understand physics in the 9th standard, I understand the law of motion, I understand heat, I understand light. When I go to 10th, I go to 11th, I go to 12th. What I'm acquiring is I am understanding those concepts and going deeper into subjects. When I come to college, I acquire my chosen subjects, whether it's a computer science, whether it's a electrical engineering, whether it's a mechanical engineering, whether it's civil engineering. Initially, they will teach you the subject which is foundational subject, and then you go deeper into each one of them to acquire expertise. When you are acquiring expertise, I would like you to see you acquire perspective. Perspective means you start looking holistic view that why you are reading particular subject. What is the concept behind that particular subject? So I was doing research on ChatGPT, how many concepts are there in physics. During my college days, I had a thick book of physics, a Dasnik Halliday, and it used to be very, very intimidating. Today with the ChatGPT, when I asked the question, what are the concepts are there? He told me there are 15 concepts which are foundational concepts, from gravity to the thermodynamics to magnetism to electricity. Every subject, if you put it to the conceptual level, you will find there 15 to 20 concepts are there in every subject. Once you know the concepts, you build up a perspective. So you know the concepts of, so like if I'm a science student or I'm an engineering student, I like to have a concepts coming from physics, chemistry, mathematics. All three will be connected. So I will build up the perspective. If I'm a student of humanities, then I'm trying to understand economics, history, politics, and literature, and try to connect the dots. So that is where I build up perspective. Once I build up skill, I build up expertise, I build up perspective, I start connecting the dots. When I start connecting the dot, that is called idea. So like the motor, when it was invented, it was replaced horses. Earlier, horse used to pull the cart, and when the motor came into, diesel engine came into picture, and that is used for pulling the cart, that becomes a motor car. Since horses cannot climb the wall, the people were kept on using for next 20 years on a motor car in a horizontal fashion. Somebody challenged and connected the dot. If this motor can run horizontal, if it runs on the wall, what will happen? It created an elevator. The motor is the same motor, but since it is applied differently, it's called connecting the dot, and that is called idea. So idea is around connecting the dot in a new pattern. So when you connect a knowledge packet from plus one circle container to second container, when you connect the dot, it's called idea. So idea is about connecting the dot. And this idea, when we talk about it in college, we keep talking about, I have this idea, I have that idea. Idea means you're connecting two dots in a new pattern. And then you start looking this idea to be aligned. My skill, expertise, perspective should be aligned like 4 aircraft going together. All the 4 should be together. If one makes error, other people can have an accident. And that alignment is what the 5th element of my design. So when I'm designing the purple house, I need 5 things to design the purple house. I need SEPIA, SEPIA, and SEPIA means I need a skill, I need expertise, I need perspective, I need ideas, and I need alignment. So these are 5 things I need to have it for designing my purple house. The way I design a physical house, I'll need chair, sofa, table, kitchen instrument. Same way, for designing my own mind space or purple house space, I need skill, expertise, perspective, idea, and alignment. Now, these are the internal tools which I have. But when I start designing the purple house, I have some frictional forces, which I call there 5 frictional forces. First frictional force is doubt. Should I do this way? Shouldn't I do this way? Which is just not clear. I'm uncertain about certain things. I'm indecisive. I would say trust yourself. Trust your judgment. Don't be too much worried about it, what other person is going to say. A lot of time in student life, I keep on checking up and start comparing my thoughts with other people's thought. And obviously, your mind is very unique mind. Everybody is born with a unique mind. And that unique mind is a nature gift to us. If I check up with somebody else, he may not have the same clarity as what you have the clarity. So clear, you may have some dialogue with him, but trust yourself. And don't look for approval. A lot of time we look for approval, that if I have an idea and I share with my teacher and teacher said yes, oh, you'll go about it. But if your idea is more wilder and you're more bold, teacher may say, oh, no, you may not be able to do it in 2 months' time. You may not be able to do it in 3 months' time. You may not be able to do it in 1 year time. If you have confidence about it, just go ahead. Teacher is looking at average time taken by most of the students. But if you're passionate about it, your dream is there, your learning is there, you may be able to do it in 3 months' time. So when I passed out from the engineering college, I had a green card in 83 to go to US. But somebody told me that you can't do anything in India. And that hurt me because I did my engineering and I came from a family of 10 siblings, coming from middle class family. I had 8 sisters, 2 brothers. I was 9th in the family. Then I met with the 2 other friends. 3 of us started a first company called International Information Systems. Our dream was that we should be international in nature. Though we didn't have any money, 0 money in our pocket, we got a first payment from our customers 6 months after we delivered the job to them. So for 6 months, we were living in the houses because parents supported us. But we trusted ourselves. That time there was no software industry, there was no programming industry. Total India programmers may not be more than 3,000-4,000 programmers in that point of time. But we trusted ourselves. We didn't have a doubt in your mind. We went ahead. As we move forward, we kept on finding different opportunities, which created Polaris nucleus. From nucleus, it created Polaris. Polaris, it created intellect. It kept on moving as our dreams becoming bigger and bigger. But we never got for the approval. We trusted our judgment. Second element is conflict. What is conflict? If you look at conflict among the students, among the parents, among your siblings, source of conflict is it's a difference of opinion, it's a difference of perspective, it's a difference of expectation. Your parent would have different expectations from you, your perspective will be different from your parents, your opinion may be different. But once you know where is the source of conflict is coming, you can able to have a dialogue with a person with you whom you have a conflict with. You're conflicting with your hostel mate, classmate, some senior, some teacher, you have conflict. You can have a dialogue, speak to him that as per my opinion, this is my opinion, this is your opinion. I'm listening to your opinion. I understood that is your opinion. Acknowledge what other person is speaking. You can speak to your parents that this is your perspective, this is my perspective. Write it down on a sheet of paper to explain. And say this is the paper, left paper is my perspective and right paper is your perspective. I understand this is your perspective, but you also need to understand my perspective. Then he'll say his perspective is this, and he will write down his perspective. And if his perspective is different from your understanding of the perspective, either you align with him or he aligns with you. Similarly, around expectation, your expectation, his expectation. So conflict is an opinion, perspective, and expectation. But for creativity also, I need a difference of opinion, difference of perspective, and difference of expectation. So conflict and creativity, when you want to suppress conflict, a lot of time in our families, in our colleges, in our companies, we start suppressing conflict. We said you should not have a conflict. But for creativity, I need to enhance the conflict or difference of opinion, perspective, and expectation. To me, conflict and creativity has a very critical balance. We need to establish in a purple house that how much conflict should be there in a purple house. And this, for whenever you have a conflict, you go to your effective room. So we discuss about imagination room, learning room. So this decaf, what I'm talking about, doubt, conflict, anger, fear, and ego is a part of my effective room. Have you looked at it, your anger? A lot of time you may feel angry. Why do you feel angry? Sometimes you feel angry because you are disappointed. You wanted certain thing, you had certain expectation, and that outcome of that expectation is not met. You feel angry. And then you symbolize your anger with the power. The power becomes your symbol of power becomes your anger. But it's not a power, it's a helplessness. So when you feel angry when you are playing a sports and cricket and you get out, or you're given a ball and you got a six. IPL is going on today, nowadays. So when you are the bowler, somebody hits you 3 sixes in an over, you feel helpless. That makes you angry. So we need to start accepting, and acceptance will keep your purple house calmer. And if I look at it, this anger meter, because this is for the youth, for the college student, for all of us, it's important, but for the young generation, it's become more important because of your kind of energy you are running it. So anger is so let's assume you are in your mind when the total capacity you say 1,000 square feet, and your container which can hold is 1 liter container. The 1 liter container you have, in which if it goes above 1 liter, you blast it off. Below 1 liter, some disappointment comes in, you tolerate. So when you wake up in the hostel or you are going to college from a day scholar, you studied late in the night, you wake up much later and you rush for the class. So first disappointment happened because alarm didn't ring. Then you can go to the second incidents happen that when you went to the bus, taking the bus, you miss the bus just few seconds away. you saw the bus running away, or you reached to the class, you were not prepared, or teacher asked certain question which you didn't have a response to. Similarly, you keep having during the day in the college some incidences of disappointment. Then you met a friend, he appreciated you, or you met a teacher who given your mark sheet, you felt good about it. So during the day, you keep on going up and down in the college of your container. Till the time it's contained, 10 incident happened, 2 good, 8 bad, but still you're containing your anger. When in the evening your container is full and some student make a critical comment on you, and suddenly it blasts off. And that's where we say, how do you manage your anger? So this is where reaction versus response in effective room comes in. When somebody be critical to you and your anger meter is full or container is full, suddenly you break the relationships. In a world, we need relationships, we need good mental model, optimistic mental model. So this is the fourth element of my frictional force. Third, anger. First is doubt, second is conflict, third is anger, fourth is fear. Fear means if I am crossing this bridge, I have a fear of crossing, unless the fear can be of going wrong, fear of failure, fear of commitment, or fear of the unknown. A lot of time when in the group, in the project, sometimes we say, oh, I'll not attempt this project, I may like to fail, or I may go wrong. I don't want to commit to the team, or I don't know what I don't know, and it's a fear of unknown. So please observe your body, where's the fear coming from? Why the fear is coming from? Is it a commitment fear, failure fear, going wrong fear, or unknown fear? Once you know which is the source of the fear, then you can build your courage to resolve that fear. Over here, I'll tell the story of a very scholarly PhD student who kept on learning. And after that, he was a great professor. He learned more and more. At one point in time, he felt that he learned everything in the world. And he started claiming to the world that I know everything. Somebody says, go and meet saint. There's a saint on the Himalayas. You go and meet that saint. That professor Ramamurthy goes and meet the saint. And he tells to saints, that sir, I learned this thing, I learned biology, I learned anthropology, I learned philosophy, I learned everything which is the available knowledge in this world. Then saint, who was like a guru, he said, sit down, you have come from a long distance. Would you like to have a cup of tea? He said, sure, I love to have a cup of tea. So Guruji start pouring the tea in a cup start overflowing. And when cup start overflowing, Ramamurthy ji start observing that cup is overflowing. He said, Guruji, why can't you see that cup is overflowing? Guruji said, I can see because cup is overflowing, which is physical overflow. But when I see you, I am seeing your knowledge is overflowing. You are acquiring more knowledge and more other knowledge is going away because you are not creating the space in your purple house to acquire more knowledge. And that story is linked to the fifth frictional force called ego. Ego is about all my knowledge, but I stop unlearning. I know it all, become my syndrome. At a student level, this sometimes you don't find so much of a ego, but you must have seen some students with a high ego. When you make the container solid, but having a porous spaces from where I can start having a new knowledge coming in, which creates a process of unlearning. So I need to create a space of unlearning to learn something new. So there are 5 frictional forces: doubt, which don't need to have approval; conflict, start having a dialogue; anger, start acceptance; fear, have a courage; ego, build a humility. There are 3 capacity levers for when you are designing a purple house. When you are very comfortable in your house, you don't make a change. Change is what gives you the ability to learn new things. And that change is required. Like Kodak was very comfortable when they were selling most of the market share. They had an 80% market share of the photography. Till 1980, 1990, everything is Kodak. Konica just started happening, but small company. Kodak was the world rule company. Then digital camera came in, and they find digital camera will be difficult. Why somebody should go for digital photography? They were sitting in their own box. We need to come out of the box, and coming out of the box is getting into zone of vulnerability, because when you come out of the box, you are vulnerable. You feel uncomfortable because that's not your core competency. Like, you know the cricket best, but you don't know hockey. But unless you try hockey, you will not learn. But when you try hockey, you will learn faster. So zone of vulnerability, you have to choose the vulnerability. When you are learning computer science, you know very good about the hardware side of computer science. You may not know the software. So you say, oh, I am good in hardware, and constantly keep on doing the motherboard design. I don't touch the software. Oh, no, I'm not good at it. This, I am not good at it. My self-judgment kills me unless I try it. So I have to look at zone of vulnerability. That how do I create a vulnerability when I learn new subject each semester? When I go from one subject to second semester, how do I learn some new subjects? If I'm good in computer science, can I learn economics? When I learn economics, can I learn marketing? Can I learn financial accounting? Normally, as an engineer, we don't want to learn marketing. We don't want to learn economics. But once you learn economics, your understanding of why particular engineering will be useful for solving the customer problem and pricing will be more effective for that. It helps your capacity to go up. Your purple house expansion happens. Second lever where purple house capacity can be expanded from 1,000 square feet to 1,100 square feet is that when you start observing positive things around you, everybody in your neighborhood has done some positivity. If you start appreciating that positivity around you, whether the roommate, classmate, teachers, parents, mentors, when you appreciate, and you have a right to issue a certificate. The certificate we give it to last year student, which are 9th standard student, and this certificate is printed certificate. Even if you don't have printed certificate, you can send a mail of appreciation. Subject could be mail of appreciation. It could be handwritten letter given to your parent or a teacher or that I like about this concept, the way you taught me. To wherever you learn from something new, write down a small note to him that I learned something from you. So this certificate of appreciation, we build up a positive relationship with other person, and that relationship is very valuable for your career growth. So this is about appreciation, how it expands. Now, third element of capacity where purple house can be expanded is removing some limiting belief. This elephant, with the power of elephant, how many of you believe that it cannot break the rope or break the entire wooden structure behind it, the whole bamboo structure behind it, if he just lifts the leg? But when he was a child, somebody tied his leg to when he was just born, to this particular pole. And throughout the life, and then he tried to break it. He couldn't break during when he was child. Then his mind start believing, his purple house start believing that this is not, I cannot break it. Even when he got his strength, he could not break it afterwards. The Hindu mythology stories about Hanuman, when Hanuman forgotten his own powers. So please wake up Hanuman in you, and that is a limiting belief. All your limiting beliefs, this I can do, this I can't do. Somebody told you, some teacher told you in 6th standard that you're not good in this subject. Some teacher told you you are not good in English. Some teacher told you you are not good in math. Just get rid of that, what you heard from those teachers, and apply yourself. Sometimes you say, no, my mother says, my father said, because you trust them so much that whatever they say, you start believing that that's the truth. That's the world truth. There's no world truth. Everybody can learn everything else. So these 3 capacity levers: vulnerability, appreciation, and limiting belief, can expand the purple house. So if you have to expand purple house of 1,000 square feet to 1,200 square feet, 3 things will be important for you for moving out of comfort zone, being appreciative, and remove limiting beliefs. So I covered up how you design your purple house. The 13 elements of designing purple house are skill, expertise, perspective, ideas, alignment, which is acronymed as SEPIA. S stands for skill, E for expertise, P for perspective, I for idea, A for alignment. Then there are 5 elements to when you're designing your purple house and you're doing the interior design, you need to look at it. Doubts, decaf. Decaf are your paints, your lighting is about decaf. Doubt stands for D stands for decaf, D stands for doubt, C for conflict, A for anger, F for fear, E for ego. And then when you want to expand your house, then you need a value, and value comes from 3 elements called vulnerability, appreciation, and limiting belief. At this point of time, I just want to give a 5-minute break for you to absorb these 13 elements to design the purple house. And if any questions are there in this area, you can write down the questions or raise hands.
Okay, if you have any questions, you can raise your hands, those of you in Zoom, or put it in the question box. So Arun, there is a question on how do we resolve fear in decaf?
Yeah, so how do I remove fear in decaf? I think we need to know the source of fear. First of all, the 4 sources are there, which I mentioned. Is it a fear of commitment? Sometimes fear is that I don't want to commit. Commit means if I have a practice every day, I need to do yoga every day morning, or I do a physical practice every day morning, and it's winter and I have to wake up at 6:30. I don't want to commit to the waking up at 6:30, and that creates a fear in my mind not to commit. Or somebody saying, I want to do I'm a civil engineering student, and somebody says, can you create a robot? And I have a fear of unknown. I don't know what the computer science is all about, but since I'm a civil engineer, I cannot do the computer programming. That will be fear of unknown, maybe. So once I know the source of the fear, then I can address the fear using SEPIA. And once I start applying SEPIA, there's a method of resolving the fear.
Thank you, Arun. On similar lines, there are a few more questions. One is on how do we control anger and how to solve conflict with someone. Arun, you have gone on mute, Arun. Yeah, please.
So how do I, so now you are asking the question of how do I resolve conflict? How do I look at my anger? So when I personally start looking at a conflict, earlier conflict, I never knew the source of conflict. I was saying conflict is there. So as soon as conflict is there, I used to say other person is bad. I am good. I am right and he is wrong. So I start passing judgment in my mind. Whether the judgment is right or wrong, there is no judge. I am the only judge to judge my own observation. Then when I start looking at it, why I have a conflict with my brother, or I have a conflict with my sister, or I have a conflict with my friend, I said, okay, yeah, he was right. There was some opinion he mentioned. Maybe his opinion was not matching to my opinion, but let me listen to his opinion more. Or his perspective was right, because this conflict happened with my parents, and parents have a perspective of security and long-term visibility, and they have more experience. They may be able to see that things in different perspective than what I can see. Or if I have a expectation different, my friend has the expectation to go together in a musical show in that evening, and I didn't meet that expectation, that resulted into conflict. So once I go to three sources of conflict, it dissolves. A lot of it get dissolved. And then when you dialogue with the other person and you say, let's have a dialogue, no discussion, just have a dialogue, the chances are that conflict may get resolved. It's not 100% sure recipe, but it may get resolved. A lot of anger comes from the conflict. So conflict is the first source which can result into anger. Anger comes from disappointments. When thing doesn't happen to your expectations, it results into disappointment. So disappointment is a breaking of your expectation to the reality. And when disappointment there, so once you know the disappointment is there, this was my expectation, this didn't happen, I need to accept the failure. Accepting my own failures is a very, very important element to resolve conflict, because there are some things which are within a human control and something within not in human control. So once you know that hitting a 6 on my ball is not in my control, giving a good ball is in my control, but hitting a 6 is another person role. So that is not in my control. So as soon as I am able to differentiate what is in my control and what is in somebody else's control, I can resolve the conflict and start accepting. So I can only solve the problem which is in my control, not in somebody else's control, and can bring down the anger. Other method of resolving anger is if you start meditating in the morning, reflecting in the morning for 15 minutes or 10 minutes a day, your container size of holding disappointments can increase. So when you have meditation once in, even not every day, on weekends, if you start doing the meditation, in my case, when you do the meditation, then you start observing yourself better, and your container size of disappointments become larger and low. So instead of 1 liter, it becomes 1.5 liter. So then anger doesn't get expressed. Similarly, the question is how to overcome self-doubting. I think trust yourself. That's what I mentioned. How to control thinking, observe thinking. Basically, you don't have to control thinking. You have to observe purple house. You walk the purple house every day. This is my imagination. This is my learning. This is my doing. So purple house is like you take a walk. It's a mental walk. It's a virtual walk you're taking into your mind space of your purple house. So this is what Kaushika, how to start everything, because if I ready to start, then after half an hour, I lost everything to give. So give us some tips for this. I didn't understand the question. Whenever I have to do something, only negative thought comes from my mind. Yeah, I think some meditation, if you start looking at it, it will be helpful for you, because initially, if the negative thoughts are coming in, you may have to sit down with understanding your mind, why it is coming from, what is the source of it. Is it a skill gap? Is it a perspective gap? Is it so? Just 13 elements which is there in your house, purple house, which has 6 rooms and 13 elements. Just start observing it. You'll find a significant improvement in your thinking process. So I move to the next topic now. Is thinking the design is about process of design. When you have a college project, you need to have a process of design. We have a center called 8012, which is when we design our technologies for the global world, we use this center. This center has the first mural, which shows that the coin that we make the help move the money more efficiently, securely everywhere. So when we give our technology to large banks like HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, HSB, HDFC, RBI, we build this technology to be the most safest technology in the world, safest and fastest. This is our space where our R&D engineer sits. We have 7 research labs where multiple projects are getting executed. So step 1 of any project when you do the design thinking to be applied for the college projects which you're undertaking, first thing is you make a cartographic view of the project which you're undertaking. So in a doing room, when you go to doing room, first before getting doing room for the planning, the first thing is you have a visual map, visualization of what the end state objective is there. And for that, meeting the end state objective, what are the cartographic view is there. So cartographic view is about understanding the market landscape. So if you're doing a robot, if you taken a project called, I want to create a robot for my office, which can have a video conversation, I need to understand what is the market landscape for that. What are the technologies are required and technology landscape for that? What is the understanding of the competition? What is the understanding of the trends? Then I develop frames for capturing knowledge. So this is about persona, empathy map, L0 architecture. So this is a method of doing the cartographic view. Cartographic view is the way we have a Google Maps. In Google Map, when you type Google Map or when you do Ola, Uber, there's a location pointers are there. But whole Delhi map is there, whole Chennai map is there. So that map is called cartography. And the market landscape is what are the landmarks are there. Those are my market landscape. So I need to create my project like a cartographic view. Like this is what we do for our banking. This is my number of things which are the part of my technologies are required in solving more than 100 problems in a banking. So this is a whole cartographic view. I may pick up only one area out of this 100 element to solve the problem. So when I'm solving a robot problem, there could be 100 different things. One thinks about mechanical movement. Second is around motors, type of motors, the battery to charge the motors, the screen displays, the CPU chips, the motherboard, the software programming. So there will be multiple blocks will be there. I need to put down all of them into columns. And once I put all of them into columns, I call frames. And those frames, if I create one frame, is frame number 1, which I call F1 frame, hardware, which is around the motherboard. Second frame I will say robot is around motors, how the motors works to make the robot move. Whether the robot will require 1 motor, 3 motor, 5 motor, 7 motor. Then third block will be sensors. What kind of sensors are required? There could be visual sensor, mechanical sensors. That will be third frame. Fourth frame would be displays. Fifth frame could be software. Sixth frame could be AI, intelligent engine. So if there are 6 frames, then I'll go into each of the frame. The first thing I'll do is I create a 6 frame on the wall and start working on each of the frame. This is related to us, not maybe relevant. This is about what social work we do. So social work in the village development. it's around putting all the 100 elements on a single sheet. So whatever the complexity of the project is there, you put on a one sheet is important, because every day you can see the sheet and you can see where are you in that journey. You have a Google map in front of your purple house. In doing room, you have purple, this map is available in your purple house and using it. Then you do the step 2, out of the full cartographic view, you pick up a important problem from there, one by one. Because when you're making, I'm just taking example of robot, or you want to do an internet banking as a software solution, or you want to do something as a social problem of sanitation. In each of them, you need to have first cartography, and then you solve problem one by one. You pick up a first big opportunity to solve the problem. For that, we need to understand feelings or unstated or unfulfilled desire, which is so unique about the project when you're creating a robot or social sanitation, or what is the unmet requirement. Observe intently the natural pattern of human usage of what is the natural patterns which is happening. Listen what is not said. Conduct no agenda meeting. Over here, I need to document my questions which are there. In a second room of learning room, I had a question list available. So in Purple House, you go to second room, you have to go and learn from the library of the books, or in Purple House of learning. We need to document level 1, level 2, level 3 understanding. And then those questions which are there in your mind, to sharpen those questions to spot what is the issue which you are facing, which you need to solve. Because some answers are easily available, some answers are not. So if you identify which is the right question you are asking, that will be the step 2. Third is universe of possibilities. Once you know the problem statement, then you go again in idea room, and in idea room, you start bring more people into the team. So you don't have to solve the problem yourself for doing the robot project. You may bring a team of 5-6 people of your own team. You bring some professors to generate ideas, or your senior friends to generate ideas. You need to challenge all the existing assumptions and biases. So people who had done earlier, we need to challenge all assumptions. We need to pick up what works, means positive pattern, and what didn't work. And pick up anti-patterns, what didn't work is anti-pattern. And then all the ideas you can write down on a slip of papers. You can have a post-it slips in each idea, everybody's coming out. You have to generate simultaneous ideas. So if there are 6-member team, which is sitting across the table, everybody has given a post-it slips, and those post-it slips, you write the ideas, and you write what is the failure point, likely to failure point. So questions, ideas can be put onto this post-it slips. Give half an hour time, give 1 hour time, give 2 hour time to come out with ideas. That time nobody will talk to each other. It is a silent time. Everybody will write down on a whiteboard, put the post-it simultaneously after 2 hours of the session, put on the whiteboard, and read each other ideas. This idea should come in a silent mode, not in a spoken mode, because spoken mode, I influence my idea with somebody else's idea. I can do a second exercise where I will generate the idea together in a team. First round is I generate idea with the post-it slips. Second round, I can have an idea where I sit down in a circle, and first person suggests an idea that I want to design a flying car. Second person says, oh, yes, we can do it. But the condition for that idea generation is second person has to say yes and, not yes but. So other student in your team doesn't have an option to say yes but. If I say I want to design a car, flying car, other person says yes and let's understand how flying works. Third person says yes and let's try to understand what makes car fly and what is the horsepower required to flying engine. Then yes and the fourth person will say, I need to understand what is the aerodynamics principle of a car. So you keep yes and this is the method of second idea generation. So one is post-it idea generation, second, which is silent mode, second is a circular idea generation process. These are the two ways of brainstorming, and then you create possibilities. Once a lot of ideas are generated and a lot of post-its are there, and to the circular simultaneous conversation you are generating ideas, then you start making choices. Making choices means if I have 10 ideas, I need to pick up only one idea for execution. I need to make choice. How do I make choice? I'll make similar ideas together, called affinity. Then I weigh the ideas based on 10 gram, 100 gram, 1000 grams. So if I have to do it, group of 6 people are there, then I give 2000 points to everybody, 2000 weight to everybody, and ask them to post the weight on each of the ideas. Person who scores the best numbers is a selected idea to carry on. I can also look at second way of looking at it. I will classify the idea is this idea because I have only 30 days to solve the problem. I'll pick up a quick ideas, but I will document other ideas as a bold idea or long-lasting ideas. Once that is there, I make choice of the idea. And once I make choice, I have to work collaboratively and get into prototyping. So next step could be prototyping. So, but I'm mixing the prototyping in step 4, and from this prototyping steps, I go to step 2 again and solve the problem. So step 2 to 4 gets iteratively work. Once I complete the idea, I come to designing a story, because storytelling is again very important step to influence the people. So now you come to influencing room. So you were in doing room. Initially, you were in imagination room when you are imagining the project by cartography. Then you went to the doing room when you start planning for it. Then you come back to the learning room, something you didn't know. Then you went back to doing room. You start doing the prototyping in doing room. So you are moving between doing room, effective room, learning room. Now, after you complete all the project, then you need to come to influencing room. In influencing room, you have to influence large audience who should accept your idea or accept your project. For that, there's a science of you need to consider yourself as a director of the movie when you're writing a story, or a story writer of the best movie So the role modeling for storytelling should be like a movie writing. Which is the best movie you have? If I love Lion King as a best movie in my life, I will say how Lion King is working. What are the key ideas of Lion King is there? What is the headline for that? Then I start doing the wireframes for it. Then I start converting into a audiovisual or story format or presentation format. So that is the way I will design a story. And then I have to stand up and sell the story. So all the influencing element will be part of this. So this is a 5-step process of designing any project. I use the business leadership. You can use project leadership. It's the first step is the cartography. Second step is spotting the big opportunity. Third step is possibilities, universe of possibilities or ideas. Fourth is making choices. And fifth is designing a story. So this is about making a purple house, using the purple house to make a project where you are applying the design thinking for making the project. That's why we call thinking the design to solve the problem. So now I will just take another 10 minutes for if you have any questions.
Thank you, Arun. If you have any questions, those of you on the Zoom call, you could raise your hand like before. We'll let you ask the question, or you can add it in the question box. There's one interesting question, Arun. Are there any limitations? What are the limitations of design thinking?
Okay, so limitation of design thinking. I think design thinking by definition is a design part of it. You design when you design your house or you design the purple house, both are basically numerous possibilities are there, and that possibility is nothing but a design thinking. So I don't think there's any limitation. It's completely virtual. It's because purple house is virtual, and you have all the tools are in your hand, SEPIA, decaf, and where it doesn't put any restriction on it. So how to become director of my life movie if it is the control of my parents? Beautiful. So Niharika, the question is it's not about control of my parent. Maybe we need to have a dialogue. I think they also want to look at you as a positive person and want to contribute into your life. So the word control is to be avoided in design thinking. We call in design thinking dialoguing rather than controlling. Even in company, we don't say we are controlling or hierarchical control. Dialogue becomes the most important point. Maybe you take your parents to some dialogue or take them to this workshop. This will be in YouTube. Show them the workshop. It will be useful for looking at it.
Arun, there's a question from YouTube, Arun. As a leader, how do you get people to inculcate the design thinking?
Just repeat, as a leader.
As a leader, how do you get people to inculcate design thinking?
Just dialoguing, teaching and dialoguing, the way what I'm doing right now. This is the only way to inculcate. So now if you learn this design thinking, you learn some principles of it. If you start teaching to somebody else, that will help. The same question I think Manisha is asking is how do we implement this entire learning process in our classroom teaching institutions? Manisha, we had a session on Wednesday with the design thinking with academic leader. We invited 250 plus leaders, where deans, directors, AICT chairman came to make design thinking as a part of the curriculum. So that is the attempt. Dr. Anbu Ratnavel has put up national conclave of design thinking for academic leaders. There are 142 institutions came in, and they are quite excited that they want to introduce this in the first or second year of their classrooms. There are more than 20 institutions already has introduced into classroom like SRM, and many colleges like IIM Calcutta has introduced into their classrooms already. Yeah, go ahead, Anbu.
Yeah, so the other question is from Sunandan. The steps of design thinking seem similar to those of scientific experiment. The design thinking draw inspiration from that.
Obviously, Sunandan, I think all of it is a step improvements over the scientific experiment. But scientific experiment was more of a lab-based. It was not a team-based. So a lot of processes which is followed in design thinking was expanding using brainstorming sessions, involving and engaging more people, more conversation. So that's how I think this design thinking happened, which is different from a scientific experiment, which was very, very lonely kind of a thing. And design thinking become more team-based experiment where we can involve hundreds of people together. In scientific experiment, normally it becomes very lonely kind of exercise. So Lakshmi Kripa, nice to have you on the call. How do we differentiate between imagining the unmet, unsaid versus being fairly accurate with our analysis assessment? So when there's something is called unmet or unsaid, it has to go from an assessment perspective in our mind. So to me, there is no differentiation. It's the same cycle. Unmet, unsaid. move to analysis, move to assessment. So there are 4 steps I will go. First, I will observe. So I use the word Lord, Lakshmi. Lord means listening, observing, reading, and dialoguing. There are 4 methods of understanding the unmet and unanswered need. And then our mind will analyze it, assess it, to make it which is the right one, which is there. The question from Rohit is how might we integrate design thinking principles into our daily lives? I think Purple House is a daily house. You live in it daily. So once you start looking your anger, your conflict, if you are fearful, ego, limiting belief, it's a daily life issues. And if you start observing them and style help in building your skills, help in building your perspective, help in building your ideas, that will be the step for improving the applying into day-to-day life. What are the different career options in the field of design thinking? There are many options are there. I think design thinking is a part and parcel of every role, whether you're in HR, whether you are in finance management, whether you are in technology management, customer management. Design thinking is a way to solve the problem and the way of understanding the holistic solutions. How can we measure success of design thinking approach? I think success is measured in terms of last 2% is 200%. The way we design the product, the way we are able to be calmed down, what is my total productivity in the day, if I can handle 5 projects simultaneously or not. Those are the few indications of the how to overcome our stress or pressure in our life by implementing the whole process. You can, that's what I'm mentioning. How can we apply design thinking in financial management? Again, by organizing financial management in a student life, there could be Google sheet of type of expenses you're doing. If you're running a company, then you can summarize into the major cartographic view of expense management or the revenue management or the balance sheet management. So there's a significant opportunity of designing, applying the design thinking in financial management in Niharika. So these are some learning books I will just share with you. This is something like design thinking for business growth, design thinking a toolbox, business model generation, design of business. This is a book I written, value proposition design. This is some of the slides are out of this book, which is written on Mukta Science and Arts of Design Thinking. So they are available on Amazon. You can order this book if you are interested in further carrying forward your interest in design thinking. So that's for today's session. If you, there are a lot of videos are available. School of Design Thinking has a lot of content. One can look at those contents to be available to you. If some questions are there, Design Thinking School can always send you some videos to support you. If in your college, if you want to look at it, you can talk to your head of departments to see what kind of a implementation you want design thinking in your college. And finally, what are the comments you like about the program? Tomorrow is a Sunday. Record all your observations and write it down. If you want to send it to Design Thinking, School of Design Thinking, to Dr. Anburatna Vail or to me, I would love to listen to you. What this course has helped you out in clarifying your thoughts. Anybody, there's some question on something, or we should just close?
All questions have been addressed, Arun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Arun. Thank you for joining. I just added the portal address in the chat box, d-thinking.com. You can reach to us via that portal and look for other contents there as well, friends. Thank you very much for joining on a Saturday, a learning Saturday for you. It'll be wonderful to hear back from you on your comments and feedback. Thank you very much. Nagi, we could end the streaming now, please. Thank you.
Okay, sir.